could be, but baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. We'll be counting stars. We'll be counting that kills me makes me feel lately I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Whoa, take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Death by Tyranny podcast. I'm trying something a little bit different for the Facebook crowd. I tried tagging a few people that I noticed go through and like the comments. If anybody thinks that the volume on the mic is too loud, I did adjust it because when I go live to Instagram, I have to run off of two mics now. So there's a little bit different distance between me and the mic. If it's too obnoxiously loud, just let me know and I'll change it. Normally I wouldn't go live this early in the day, but whoa, today, and it might not be relevant to a lot of people, but to me, a lot of red flags jumped out at me today in the news. And I also, I spoke about this kind of pivoting, sharing just information and knowledge, not so much to bring, me viewership or a following, but that you guys can go out and find it yourself. Because ultimately, if people were watching and listening to the same shit that I was, then I wouldn't have to come on here and do this. As much as it would be nice to, make money off this a little bit, all I would do is take that money and invest it back into the podcast. Or I have been noticing a lot of video editing that I would like to get into. But right now, I have too much money wrapped up into too many other things. And quite frankly, I'm super fucking broke. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started talking about the first thing that really kind of should freak you out a lot. Now, it happened in Delaware, and to my knowledge, this is the only circumstance that it has happened in so far, but it is unconstitutional. and it is unlawfully. It was unlawfully done, and it should have never happened in the first place. And it should freak you guys out. I know it freaked me out. And maybe there aren't a whole lot of people that go out there and make multiple gun purchases a day. But quite frankly, it's none of the federal government's business what you do and how many guns you buy in a day. You could buy anywhere from 1 to 100. Although if you go to 100, they're definitely going to push the limits of their power and authority to try to do something. I promise you that. And I want to send a trigger warning out there to all the leftist extremist butt plugs out there. Just know that I am not a lawyer. None of this is legal information. And any of the scenarios or questions that I ask are only in Minecraft. So with that, fuck off. And if the word butt plug did not offend you, I absolutely meant it to offend you. But with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to screen share because there, like I said, there are people out there that posted this information hours ago. And if people were listening and watching and paying attention other places, they wouldn't need to come here after the fact. They would be aware of it. And there's going to come a time, I believe, in the near future where the time it takes you to receive information from good people is going to be very crucial. So imagine this. Imagine instead of the scenario that I'm getting ready to play for you guys happening, imagine that ATFs nationwide come knocking door to door. Wouldn't you want to know beforehand? Wouldn't you want to know what your legal rights are as a United States citizen? Wouldn't you want to know if you were breaking the law when they come to the door? And wouldn't you want to know what you, I can't say should because I'm not a lawyer, but what are some of the scenarios that might possibly help you out of that situation that, quite frankly, you shouldn't be in the first place? So with that, we're going to hop it over to screen share because I got quite a few clips I want to get through today. This is going to be just for the Facebook, YouTube crowd. I do have Instagram pulled up, and I will show you my Instagram if some of you prefer to follow me over there. Some of that content will be different from time to time. I might not feel like fucking with two mics. And because I have to go through my phone, this means that I could just podcast while I'm walking the dog. And sometimes things hit me, or I find out things while I'm walking the dog that I might just want to go live straight to Instagram. So if you guys don't mind going over to the Death by Tyranny Instagram and following me there, I would appreciate it. Like I said, I'll pull that up later on so you guys know how to get there. But let's get this started because it might be a long one. Oh, whoops. We'll go ahead and close that for any doxers out there. And it's still doing the same thing. Oh no, this is okay. We just got lag here. All right, I knew I had him up. So this is the first clip we're going to be taking a look at. This is Jared from Guns and Gadget. He is a pretty good resource of knowledge when it comes to late-breaking federal and local laws. He does cover most state things when it comes to your gun rights or if the ATF is getting out of pocket. And he's usually one of the first people that breaks this stuff, at least in video form. I do know there are some blogs out there that come out with this information a little bit quicker because some of his resources are journalists. So obviously they're going to put it on their, a blog first or their website before reaching out to Jarrett. But usually this happens within minutes. There's a couple of emails that get shot out, and then he literally goes live and passes on this information to you guys. So hopefully the audio works, and let's get this started.
Ring camera footage.
And of course it doesn't work because I didn't have the button turned on. I apologize.
Gentleman was home and he was alerted by his cameras that there was motion detection. Something was going on. He turned on his cameras and saw 3 men approaching his house and noticed that they were wearing body armor, armed. So he goes to the door and confronts them and learns that 2 of the men are ATF. One is a Delaware State Trooper, and they're there to inquire about a multiple gun purchase that he had made.
All right, I'm gonna pause it right there just to let you guys know. If you see me leave in the corner right here, I believe this clip is almost 10-minute long. I will be well back before then, but I'm a dummy and I didn't piss before this, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my opportunity because, like I said, he has a lot better resources and knowledge about this situation, and it's very, very important because as of right now, we don't know why this happened. Of course, the ATF and Sheriff Department says the reason that they claim to be there, but we don't know why that is. And I've spoke about this a little bit before in the past, that I have been contacted by ATF agents making a lawful purchase. My name was the last one that was on the last NICS check that was done on that firearm. And then I sold it to another law-abiding Ohio citizen. And after that, obviously, it's out of my control. But because I was the last one to legally, or not legally, but do the background check on it, my name came up when they searched the information that was imprinted on that firearm. So I don't know if this is how this gentleman ended up in the situation, but it very well may be. Or Jared speaks about this a little bit more. Maybe it's just intimidation, because there's a good possibility that this gentleman that made this multi-gun purchase in a day, and the ATF sheriff clarifies that he has done nothing wrong, which that's not always the case. That's usually how they started out, to get you to admit guilt. But from now on, this gentleman may likely never buy multiple guns at the same time. He has officially been intimidated by the federal government to restrict his constitutional Second Amendment right, and that's not right. We should not only fight against this and make sure that it never happens again, we should be on high alert to make sure if it happens to anybody else that it is brought to the surface. And quite frankly, if it was an actual constitutional republic that we lived in, which it is no longer. They say this is the case, but I believe we are in another world when it comes to the United States of old and the United States of now, and it's not a good one. And in a perfect United States constitutional backed Minecraft world, these gentlemen being on his property should be allowed to be eliminated. Point blank, period, the end. And if something like that would have happened in this scenario, there's a good chance, obviously the guy would have been made out to be a right-wing extremist Trump supporter, but there's a good possibility that maybe not in right now's political climate in Washington, D.C., but if there was people that actually believed in the Constitution that ran our country right now, that he would win the case in a self-defense case with these the sheriff and the two ATF agents walking onto his property and asking to see things inside of his house without a warrant. So with that, I'm going to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. You guys make sure you pay attention to this clip. This is probably one of the most important clips that I will be playing today.
I'm going to go to the footage here, and then we'll come right back.
Sir?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm doing is verifying that, look, verifying that you have it. You got two different purchases.
Okay.
If you have them, I'm out of here. That's how quick it is. Yeah. You have them with you by any chance? Are they? If you can unload them and bring them out, or you can go out to your foyer here, check them out, by serial number, and we're out of here.
That's it?
Yep.
That's it. It'll take 5 seconds.
The reason we're out here is we're obviously gun violence has been an uptick, so we want to make sure we've been having a lot of issues with straw purchases. So one of the things indicators that we get is somebody makes like a large gun purchase, and then a lot of times we've been there like, oh, those guns got taken. We're like,
So the idea is when you purchase more than 2 guns at a time, it generates a multiple sale report. And it comes to us, and we have to check them out. Okay. That's all that is. He did nothing wrong. Did absolutely zero. I noticed that you were stopped in Philly, though, right, with one of your guns?
we'll wait. Do you feel more comfortable?
I'm okay. I didn't expect.
Oh no! Listen, it just came up. I'm telling you. That's why we came here. Look, there's an email from the federal side saying, hey, can you make sure this guy's got his gun? Now, if you recently just purchased a whole bunch of guns, if we can look at them and just
I have them all.
scratch them off, and that way, because I know we
So
don't
we
see
don't
this
have to
list
come
again.
back. Yeah, we can just write which ones you just bought, and
Okay.
so we save a trip from coming back. We can just
Right.
confirm that you have them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll go get them.
Okay.
Okay.
We will wait out here.
Okay.
We will stay out here.
Okay.
You can lock yourself
Just
in
have
there.
my little boy in there and my wife.
Yeah, we'll
Oh, no,
stay-
no, listen, I understand. We'll stay out here, no big deal.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
We'll stay
All right.
out here.
All right.
All right, I'm back, guys. So yeah, clearly he emphasizes that he does not want the, I believe it's the sheriff at this point, or it quite possibly could just be an ATF agent. I'm not sure what the gentleman on the outside of the fence is wearing, but obviously he feels uncomfortable. He doesn't want them inside of his house, which I would highly suggest. Like I said, I'm not legal counsel. You might want to reach out to one if you're ever in this situation, or even before then, so you would know what to do before this situation may occur, because this is in Delaware, I believe, so the circumstances may be different in your state. But yeah, to me, this is a no-brainer. This is, you get a door shut in your face, and the officer then says you're not going to lock yourself inside the house. So in my opinion, what's going on here is I believe that he is trying clearly to intimidate him. If all he needs to do is check some serial numbers, which that's unlawful, that's unconstitutional, that's not a fucking thing. So there's your red flag 1 right there. 2, you don't need 3 officers to come out and to check that. And most likely, if this was to happen, that they believe there was a situation that they needed to come and see your firearms, there would definitely be a warrant involved, which I'm pretty sure Jared touches on here in a little bit. But yeah, this is totally intimidation, and like I said, I would shut the door, and as soon as they were to try to escalate the situation, which I have done somewhat of a civilian police academy type deal, and I know here, at least with my local laws, they are taught that. They are taught to start at the lowest form and then to continue to escalate the force of, well, what kind of force they are using after they don't get the response they want. And I believe they can do so after every time they ask something and you do not comply. So they very well could say, hey, you're not going to shut the door and lock yourself in. If he did that, they very well could try to enter the home, and at that point in Minecraft, I would feel at that point my life was being threatened, and I would start making the zombies in Minecraft. But we'll just see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing.
Now, watching this infuriated me, and I hope it infuriates you as well. So first off, they're there to check on a multiple purchase transaction, looking to make sure he's not straw purchasing. And I'll tell you what, coming from a former law enforcement officer, I'm telling you that if they had probable cause to believe that this person was a straw purchaser, they would have been there with a warrant, and they would have had action much more than just what's called a knock and talk. A knock and talk is when, hey, we're going to go to this person's house, we're going to talk about a subject, and hopefully we can use verbal judo to get them to tell us all kinds of stuff, and we're not going to really tell them that they have the right to remain silent, or that, you know, they don't have to even talk to us. We're not going to tell them that. And that's what they did here. You notice they didn't tell him that he was under no requirement legally to answer their questions. You can tell he was uneasy with this scenario. And what they did was they compelled him to give them information. I have seen scenarios like this all day long in court be tossed out. The information garnered from this interview tossed out because the subject was basically compelled to feel they had to tell these officers whatever information it was. He was not under any requirement to tell them anything. He did not violate any law. And they didn't have a warrant. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment if they're there to search his premises. So get that out. He didn't have to say anything. He could have consulted an attorney, could have just shut the door and said, friggin' beat it, boys. But, you know, like most law-abiding gun owners, he wanted to give them information to prove that he didn't do anything wrong. So he did give them information. He did come out with one of the rifles they were looking for. They scratched it off their list and said that was it. They were all set, and they left. They didn't need any more information. But just the way they're questioning, the method of their questioning, more than one person. There was 3 people versus 1. That's an intimidation factor. Those are all things that in court would say, most judges would say that this person was compelled to give that information, and he didn't give that information free and voluntarily. Now the next question is, why would the ATF come to his house if he bought 2 guns lawfully and legally? Well, the Gun Control Act in 1968 put all this into play. If you buy more than 1 gun per transaction, that information by the FFL, it has to be reported. It has to be reported to the ATF. The ATF home inspections gets it, as well as the ATF field offices and local law enforcement. And most of the time, they never follow up on it. Now, interestingly enough, a Washington Post story done last July might shed some light on this, and Lee Williams alludes to this in his piece as well. Going forward, officials said, U.S. attorneys' offices and ATF agents will seek to prosecute more straw purchasers, focusing not only on major cities, but also the neighboring towns and states that supply many of the guns used in crimes, including along the Interstate 95 corridor and in Indiana, Nevada, and Arizona. And Delaware is part of the I-95 corridor. So is this more pressure from Joe Biden? Is this just the ATF doing what the Gun Control Act allows them to do? Who knows? Well, put yourself in this gentleman's shoes. Here's his quote on screen. He said, "I was embarrassed. My neighbors saw the whole thing. Guys in these police vests standing in my yard. I was really uncomfortable. I felt really confused, like I was in some way being accused of something even though I didn't commit a crime. It was quite embarrassing. I knew they couldn't come in, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to get put on some watch list."
All right. Apologize. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll hop back to the main screen here and get in the middle of the frame here. So that's pretty much the gist of the video. I encourage you to go watch the rest of the video of Guns and Gadgets on youtube.com. It is just Guns and Gadgets. If you search it, it'll pop up. He has over 500,000 followers. It's nice to see him stumble over words as well, so that I know it's just not me, a small-time podcast / creator that does that. So that's pretty awesome to see that I'm not just a retard. But so the main story here, and another point that I want to bring out, is when I say it's unconstitutional, he brought this up as well as in the Fourth Amendment, and then he says that the Gun Control Act is what allowed this to happen, that the multiple gun purchase allows that information to then get sent to the ATF or, you know, whoever, and they can then come out and inspect the home, but they normally don't follow up on it. To my knowledge, that is the case. I've never heard of this happening, and we won't go in further into the video because I want you guys to go over and support Jared at Guns and Gadgets. But so if they had reason to believe that that was a straw purchase, that he had bought firearms, and let me explain what a straw purchase is, just in case Jared did not. It's when you buy a firearm and that firearm is not intended for you. So if normally in the best case scenario for you legally down the road, once again, I'm not an attorney, but if you're going to buy a firearm for somebody that you care about, or a friend or family or whatever it may be, you can purchase the firearm and then leave it at the FFL and have them pick it up. Or if they live out of state, you can have it shipped to an FFL near them, and then they can go do the next check. And the reason why this is the best case scenario is when you're doing the background check when you purchase a firearm, no matter what the Democrats tell you, you have to answer that truthfully, or you are technically breaking the law. And most criminals that obtain firearms do not answer these truthfully. again, to speak on the straw purchase factor of this, the first question on that background check, at least here in Ohio, and I'm pretty sure this is on a federal level when they redo this, it says, are you the intended purchaser of the firearm, or intended transferee? Meaning that the person buying it is the person that the firearm is for. If you mark no, that FFL more than likely, and I do believe also lawfully as well, will not let you leave with that firearm. Okay? So if they had another reason to suspect that this was a straw purchase, they would have brought a warrant. If they thought that it was so severe that they needed to come to these people's houses and check into it, there would have had to been something else there, a red flag, if you will. This is another reason that red flags are so dangerous, because if somebody was behind that gentleman in that gun store, seen him bought 2 firearms, not only do they already have the information according to the Gun Control Act, but then they could say that they seen a man at this store buy 2 firearms, and because of all the gun violence that has been going on, they feel unsafe. Then they are legally allowed to actually physically take that gentleman's firearms. That is why red flag laws are so dangerous. All right, so we got to work about some way to get that just totally and utterly taken care of. And there are a lot of Republicans that support red flag laws, including dickhead Dan Crenshaw of Texas and Rob Portman of Ohio. So feel free to contact Rob Portman or Dan Crenshaw if those are the states that you live in, and let them know just how much they really don't support the Second Amendment when they vote for things like red flag laws on the federal level and on the state level. All right, and so I'm trying to keep these a little bit more organized when I'm staying on Facebook and YouTube, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the next thing. And I'm sure some of you are actually aware of this, because you know how, like, on your main screen or the Google search page, big topics come up. Well, this one popped up on my phone, and I wasn't aware of all the facts. And that's what we're about here. We're about spreading knowledge and information that you can use to actually do something. Okay? And so from everything that I gathered from Google, AOC, this stupid bitch, it came out that I think something like 17, 18 Democrat lawmakers were arrested at the Capitol at a protest. That's all really the main news sources and media said. And they took videos and photos and posted them that made it look like these stupid bitches got arrested. And that was not the case at all. So I'm going to hop over to another YouTube channel that spreads a lot of good information, and this one is a little bit more on the entertaining side. But one of the co-hosts of the Drinking Bro podcast is Dan Holloway. Dan Holloway served in the 82nd Airborne, and he is very intelligent. Sometimes he's a little controversial, maybe to the Christian community, because he is an atheist, but he has a master's degree in religion. So he has been, for his adult education, he studied all religions. So sometimes that may leading into that life of being an atheist, or maybe he wasn't always an atheist. I don't know. I would love to sit down and talk to him one day. I don't have that information. But other than that one thing that I disagree with on Dan Holloway, everything else I've ever heard the man say, I 100% agree with. And to be quite frank, it's just a differing opinion of ideas when it comes to Christianity. And even the Christianity thing, Dan Holloway acknowledges that a lot of religious organizations are not so much organizations, but people that believe in some type of God, have good morals, and live in polite societies. And these are how a lot of them were developed, and a lot of good things came from Christianity. So he is not one of these people that are just going out and completely trying to say that Christians are bad people. It's not even close to that. So we'll hop over here, and like I said, they do a pretty good, decent job of covering what actually happened today at the Capitol with AOC, among other stupid bitches that work in the Democratic Party. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have the audio on there, because a couple other of these clips are from the same video, and I was not in the right spot. So like I said, I apologize. It's been a while since I've ran some clips on here.
Screen. So I thought she was actually cuffed here, D'Anthony.
Well, that's clearly what she's trying to suggest with
Portray, yeah.
with her body language.
Yeah. And she was not, and then she keeps walking here.
Like, none of those people are in handcuffs. And Bob, if you'll pull up that other picture or the other video, what you'll notice is this is very similar to that chain link fence, empty parking lot situation.
Great photo.
Yeah, well,
Great.
What he's trying to describe here is also an event where AOC has taken photo ops or video trying to portray something that isn't real. She tried to say that she was down at the border, actively supporting illegal immigrants crossing the border, and how it was so wrong, and all these children. And she was literally like in Washington, D.C. As well as we have also heard the stories about AOC saying that her life was threatened on January 6th, that she felt like she was going to die. And then it came out that she was down the street. She was actually nowhere near the Capitol during January 6th. So this isn't the first time that AOC has been caught lying and fabricating something to mislead the Democrat sheep into believing shit that is under a false narrative. The reason why this one in particular is so important to point out is for two reasons. One, AOC has already come out and said that she will be eligible to run for president come 2024. If you vote for this retarded bitch on a local level or on a federal level, these are the people, like, I understand we should be able to have political conversations and come to some type of agreement, or able to at least have the conversation towards an agreement, but not with stupid bitches like this. These are people that should have never even been able to been close to Washington, D.C. in any civil service position at all. And quite frankly, everybody in her district is a retard.
Photo.
Oh, I forgot the second reason why this is so important to point out here. The second point is so important to point out here is because, one, what she is doing is gathering and protesting in front of the Supreme Court, which really has no impact on Supreme Court decisions, or shouldn't. That is them trying to intimidate the Supreme Court, which can be viewed as terrorism. So she should be getting arrested. And in a perfect world, this would be a scenario where in Minecraft, federal police officers or Supreme Court security should then be able to go ahead and wipe her off the face of the planet in Minecraft. Because the judicial court is something much different than Congress. It isn't something you're allowed to go and try to intimidate at. I guess you apparently can go and protest there, But even where we stand in the United States as far as Roe v. Wade goes, protesting in front of the Supreme Court is doing nothing. Therefore, the only thing that she is trying to do is intimidate and photo op. So this, and why I feel it is so important is because there are tons of people that feel some type of way about Roe v. Wade, and she is egging them on. She is poking and prodding them to be like BLM and to go to the cities and to spread violence. But any time that any conservative, Republican, or libertarian even remotely comes close to doing something like this, we have January 6th hearings for over a year now. So, I mean, I'm good. If you want to say that this is completely fine and that people like AOC can come out and say that they should harass and block out Trump supporters and promote violence the way that they do and say that it's okay, let's leave it at that then. And just don't fucking cry, bitch, and moan when we do it. And the reason they do it is we do it better. Not in the sense that we whine, bitch, and moan better, but in the sense that if we were to harass, bully, and intimidate, most of the people that are good at that don't do that. And I believe in one of the clips, Dan Holloway speaks on that as well. And the way that we need wolves or people capable of violence in our society. But the people that are good people that hold that ability is what we should be protecting by the Constitution, because those are the ones that are going to try to use violence in an unconstitutional manner, in a criminal manner, and trying to end innocent life manner. Well, the only thing that stops a person with a gun is another person with a gun. The only person that stops a wolf, usually just hypothetically speaking, is another wolf. The sheep is not going to take out the wolf. So you do need wolves in society. But I'll let Dan Holloway, I'm sure he words it a little bit better. Like I said, his education level's a little bit higher than mine.
Some say that should be in the Guggenheim.
I don't know who that is, but
Charles Edgar Guggenheim.
I don't think that's right.
Famous museum. You should look it up.
I don't think it's Charles Edward.
I've been there. I spent a lot of time there. No big deal. Show the other footage, Bob. What do we got here?
It's Solomon R. Guggenheim.
That's probably his brother.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of
they had a huge family.
Prominent Jewish men named Charles.
Huge family over there. The Guggenheim family. Everybody knows them. Let's see this other footage of AOC, Bobby.
Oh. So,
and Ilhan Omar.
They do touch on this, but just so you know, that was her like fist bumping the Black Power or whatever they do, and the reason why that's important and they reacted like that is because the dumb bitch isn't handcuffed because she's not under arrest. That's the whole point of this clip. She's a lying fucking cunt. She's not even being forced to hold her hands behind her back. She is not being forced to walk like she is handcuffed, limping like that.
Omar wasn't even cool enough to get some cops.
She's escorting herself. What a stupid bitch.
Back. There we go.
What a stupid fucking bitch.
Wow. You can play that one more time. Let's see that. So she's throwing up is that a Black Power fist?
I think it's just like power to the people.
Is there a difference?
No.
I've been giving the wrong fist the whole time.
When Josh Hawley did it on January 6th, it probably wasn't a Black Power fist.
J6, yeah. Was he in a wheelchair?
So go back to the first video and turn the audio off because I want to narrate something here. Yeah, go to the first one. Just mute that audio. So you see her and this obese white lady behind her and the other one that's holding a sign. No one is handcuffed.
No.
So do you think, this is the question I have. Did they have a conversation about that? Hey, when the cops come get us, let's all pretend like we're handcuffed to get escorted out of here? Or did it just happen like that?
It had to have been, because they're both doing the same exact thing.
And
they're
then
all besties.
Ellen Omar is like 20, 30 yards behind her and does the same thing.
Right.
So it's very bizarre.
It's a pre-planned thing there that's going on.
But
they're in the squad, Dan.
There's no way. There's no way they had a conversation like, hey, we're probably going to get arrested. When we do, just in case they don't handcuff us, let's go ahead and put our hands behind our back.
Sure.
So that's pretty much the point of the clip, but I'm going to let it continue a little bit longer because they touch upon something that I've already touched on here, and that's protesting in front of the Supreme Court is doing nothing. And Nancy Pelosi has pushed through with her wicked ways. Can't wait until that bitch is dead. 2 bills today dealing with abortion, but it's not going to pass the Senate. And if AOC was trying to do something more than potentially have clips to play for a run at the Oval Office, they would be protesting at the Senate, but they're not. And they touch on why she would not be doing that as well.
That conversation did not happen.
Well, but isn't this the exact effect that they were hoping for? Is that we're going to talk about it. They appear as if they've been arrested. I did a show earlier this morning where we thought she was arrested, and then it turns out, now there's no handcuffs whatsoever. I didn't see the footage of her throwing up the Black Power sign.
Yeah. Well, why?
I didn't see the Ilhan Omar footage of her doing the same exact thing, but she's by herself. There's not even a cop with her.
No, nobody even had the fucking. Nobody cared enough about Ilhan Omar to even escort her off the project. So she didn't. None of these people got arrested because that's not what getting arrested looks like.
Right.
Just to be clear.
Right.
So these stories that are running in the media right now, 17 Democratic lawmakers arrested. That's a lie.
Yeah.
Right. They just made it up. Never happened.
None of them have got arrested. No. Right, Bob? Can you fact check that? None of them actually got arrested.
No, none got arrested.
Yeah, so
none did. Okay.
So
none.
To your other point, the Supreme Court's role in this is done. Right? It's over. There's literally nothing legally there.
This is one of the reasons I know that nobody that really supports Roe v. Wade is actually going to watch this or listen to this, but maybe by chance a pro-life person might hear this. And this is what I've been trying to say from the get-go. Since this happened, let's take our religious beliefs out of it for a second. And I don't agree with that, but let's just take it out of the equation for a second, because we're talking about a large portion of people that don't hold that religious belief, okay? It doesn't fucking matter. What happened in the Supreme Court gave you more power to have abortions. You just need to flock to a state and change those state-level laws. The people who disagree with abortion can now flock to states and elect people and vote on not being allowed to have abortions. The reason why this is so important, and I know a lot of people feel strongly on the pro-life, pro-choice thing, but in my opinion, having the federal government hold less power and giving it back to the states is way more important if you want to keep it in context to the United States. Abortions in itself isn't going to make or break the United States. What will is the federal government overreaching into states' power and taking it. That is why this was a good decision. Whether you are pro-choice or pro-life, you just have to accept that fact. If you are pro-freedom, if you are pro the Constitution, if you're pro-small government, this was a win. Shut the fuck up about it. Go vote in your local fucking elections, you dumb bitches.
They can do at this point.
No.
Because they have to accept a case from a lower court
Correct.
first and then go through that whole process. So why don't they go protest the Senate?
Right. And,
you know what I mean?
So
at least that would make sense. This is fucking stupid.
So we did the show about it when it got overturned, and it goes to the states. That's it. There's nothing else unless you get new Supreme Court justices. They're not going to review this case again, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, they won't.
Yeah, they won't. So unless this bill, the ones there was, Bob, I believe there was two. You can pull it up. That Pelosi was hammered down with the gavel the other night. I believe there was two bills for abortion that were passed. These still have to go to the Senate, and that's not going to happen. So yes, you're correct. If you want to protest, why aren't you protesting the Senate and then the people that are voting against this bill?
Because Charles Schumer told her to stay her ass at home. Go have your little fucking party somewhere else, but don't come to my house.
Chuck Schumer said that?
Yeah. Of course he did. Because they want, like, it's tough times in the Senate right now. They want to fucking, they're weighing whether or not it's worth it to invoke the nuclear option to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to not do that for a couple of reasons. One, it won't work because even if they pass the legislation and Biden signs it, the Supreme Court has ruled that this is a states' rights issue, and the federal government isn't entitled to weigh in on it.
Sure.
Basically. So that won't work. The other part is that you don't want to give the incoming red wave a fucking cloture-free Senate.
Yes.
Because now then it would be bulls on parade.
Well,
all right, that's important for the pro-choice people to hear as well, because after they overturn Roe v. Wade, you heard them say things like, they're coming for gay marriage, they're coming for this, they're going to make people slaves again, they're not going to let women vote. And no matter how you feel about that, if they do the things that they said they were going to do to rebel against the Roe v. Wade overturning, which was pack the Supreme Court, invoke the nuclear option, and get rid of the filibuster. So if you do that, realize that we are in a stage in the United States in a political atmosphere where the next election, whether you like it or not, the Republicans are going to come out and they are going to vote red big time. Do you know what that means? All the things that you're afraid of, that they're going to come for your abortions, they're going to come for your weed and your gay sex. Guess what? If you get rid of the filibuster, if you enact the nuclear option here, when the Senate and the House becomes Republicans, then they very well might go do those things. So just like in most cases, what we're seeing right now from the Democrats is they're having a emotional response from not getting their fucking way, whether it's constitutional or not, and their response to that emotion is to do the dumbest and worst thing for the worst possible outcome just to try to hurt other people, which in turn hurts the citizens that are retarded enough to vote for those Democrats. This is why the Democrat Party is actually the most dangerous organization in the United States. Not because I just think they're retarded, but because they actively not only try to get things passed and do things that hurt Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, Christians, gun owners. Not only do they try to hurt those people, they're not trying to have conversations with those people or take them at their best meaning. What they are also doing is hurting the people that vote for them as well. This is why they need the illegal immigrants to be able to vote, because they have not begun to experience the backstabbing the Democrat Party has done to, every minority in the United States ever. But yet still, those same minorities come out and vote en masse for the Democrat Party. Do you know what that's called? That's called brainwashing. And quite frankly, if you are that easily manipulated, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. So go ahead, invoke the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster. But I promise you, at that point, the Republicans, when they come in 2022, will dismantle the Democrat Party. So in all sincerity, in my opinion, I hope it happens. Overturn Roe v. Wade. It's going to last for about a year and a half. And then all the things you're worried about the big bad conservative taking away from you is going to happen. So keep fucking doing what you're doing.
Well,
I don't know.
And speaking of which, people were pissed at Merrick Garland last night for a leaked memo that came out.
Okay, so this leads straight into the next clip. So what they're talking about. And we don't even need to watch this clip. We'll kind of wrap it up, and I'll give you the overall gist of the thing. All right. They leaked out that they are going to try to continue prosecutions when it comes to January 6th and to keep this witch hunt going for as long as possible. Why this is important is the Democrats, the people that want the January 6th hearing to happen, they're upset because what's happening right now, and this is a fact, you can go look it up, the FBI, the Capitol Police, a lot of them have wiped their phones. And why did they wipe their phones? I don't know. You tell me. Does it sound like somebody else that the Democrat Party was having do their dirty work, that instead of handing over her phone so that the FBI could go through it and make sure she wasn't committing treason? And that's what it would be if the Capitol Police or the FBI was involved in January 6th. It would be treason. Obviously, they're not going to go after him for treason because clearly the people that held the DOJ and the power to make shit like that happen don't want to see them people prosecuted because they want for them to continue to do their dirty work. But who I'm talking about here is Hillary Clinton and the emails, all the emails that she erased from a federal database, from her federal email that, quite frankly, should be open to the public as long as it doesn't harm soldiers or the military in any way. I do know what the legal statute is there. I just forget it off the top of my head. So that's what's going on there. The FBI and the Capitol Police have officially scrubbed their phones, so when they get pulled into or indicted over January 6th, we're not going to be able to find out anything. And they kind of go into this in this clip, which I'll go ahead and switch it back up to the full screen here. We're going to go ahead and skip over so we can get to the next clip. But they talk about, I forget his name. Damn it. Now we should probably watch the clip. Anyways, there was somebody trying to incite people the day before January 6th, telling them, we need to go into the Capitol. We need to do this. It's going to bother me now. I might play a clip, see if I can speed it up and get his name here real quick. But anyways, so they're pretty much talking about when Governor Whitmer was kidnapped, how many FBI agents were actually involved, actual FBI agents, and then how many actual FBI informants were involved. And the percentage of people, which I believe the portion of people that weren't involved with the FBI were almost legally retarded. But the other half of people that were involved in kidnapping Governor Whitmer was 50-50. So 50% of the people that brought the idea to the retards, were FBI agents. The people that bought the guns and held the meetings were FBI informants. So to think that this is a conspiracy, that maybe the FBI or the Capitol Police had something to do with January 6th is just a conspiracy because the federal government would never do anything like that. Look into most of the tragedies that have happened in the United States in the last 20 years, including 9/11, and how much information, whether the FBI was actively participating in them, they knew about them and did not stop them. Why? Probably to get something that they wanted done. So, Ray Epstein, is that what it is? No, it's Ray something. Damn, it's going to bother me. Ray Epps, that's what it is. I don't need to do it. Haha. So, Ray Epps. Ray Epps was in front of, at the Trump rally, telling people that they should go inside the Capitol and they needed to actually physically go into the building. And I guess that he pursued on this for quite a while. There were people in the crowd that were arguing against him, saying, no, we cannot do that. You're a Fed. And I know that happened because my profile picture on YouTube was actually the person that was caught on tape saying that. So it indeed, for a fact, happened that somebody tried to stop Ray Epps from inciting people to break into the Capitol the next day. And the shitty part here, and the part that really kind of points out that he probably was a Fed, is that he has never been charged. He has never been questioned. And to my knowledge, they have went after anybody and everybody that they possibly could have that had something or was even in contact with people that were there at the Million Mega March there on January 6th. So why not Ray Epps? Oh, that's right. Probably because he got a pass from Big Daddy Government. So that's all that clip had to say there. And I was kind of in a rush because I said I gave you guys a 15-minute warning, and I went past that. So I actually don't know what this next clip is, so it's going to be a surprise to me too. I know it was some more bullshit that happened today, and there's an overall theme here. I don't know if you guys are catching on to it yet.
Make America Great Again. Hat is brand new too that he's talking to. I mean, that is.
For what it's worth, these cops aren't letting them in.
No, these cops.
Okay, I remember what this clip is now. So this is them. Actually, the gentleman's head that is right in front of you is Ray Epps. So you see, I believe he did go into the Capitol, but yet he was not one of the people charged, convicted, or in any way, shape, or form seen consequences to do with January 6th. But they are breaking down the fence to get into the Capitol, and he is right there, continuing to tell people to encourage them to go into the Capitol. The reason why I skipped it to this clip of the podcast today that Drinking Bros did is because, and maybe we'll bring it up tomorrow or the next day or whenever the next podcast is, but there was an abortion right thing that happened at the, I believe it was the Senate level, and I'll let you guys hear it in the clip. But Dan Holloway, and I looked the clip up, I just forgot to pull it up, says, and it did, looks the exact same like it did in 2018, where these crazy feminists with the pussy hats broke into and occupied, I believe it was the Senate floor, but we'll let him say because he remembers. He's got better notes than I do.
Aren't. These cops are not, for sure.
By the way, pause this for a second. Same scene happened in the other abortion ruling in 2018. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The fucking angry feminist mob did exactly what you're seeing on screen right now. And then they went inside and occupied the Senate building, the Hart Senate building. 0 fucking prosecutions out of that. 300 plus arrests, 0 prosecutions.
Okay. Keep going, Bob.
All right, so that's pretty much all we needed from that clip. It was just because when I was listening to it, I was like, oh shit, they're right. This isn't the first insurrection, even though that's not what January 6th was. If you want to classify that as an insurrection, then like I said earlier, if this is what we're going to hold the standards to, then the Democrat Party, since they're cheerleading for it, should be willing to accept it when it happens to them. And if you're not doing that, then we no longer have a republic. We no longer have a democracy. We have nothing of the sort. We no longer have a polite civilian society. We have one portion of America actively acting in hypocrisy to attack the other portion of the United States. Now, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here, But in layman's terms, it's what I've been saying since the first podcast that I ever did. It's not that we are going to have a civil war. It's that we are in a civil war. Okay? So, take that for what you will. I don't know what the next clip is either, but we'll go ahead and hop to it. Hopefully, man, I hope I had it on the right screen, or else you wouldn't have heard that. Oh well, like I said, it's been a while since I've done clips, so. All right, here's the next one.
The last part of 1984 by George Orwell.
Okay, so maybe we'll come back to that one, because this kind of encompasses the overall theme of today and what I'm trying to get across, and all the red flags, not red flag laws, but red flags that we should be paying attention to that has happened in today alone. How much the Democrat Party is taking advantage, how much they lie, and how much they are attacking anybody who disagrees with them. And at that point, I don't understand why we're still having conversations. I don't understand why we're still going on like Americans and just pretending nothing is going on. I mean, I know why. It's because nobody wants to actively kill other Americans. Of course not. Nobody wants a hot civil war. But at what point, how far are we going to let them go before we start throwing tea off the side of the boats? That's really the main theme here. And he's just saying a quote from 1984, and it's one of the big quotes that they use about people in power making you believe that 4 + 4 = 5, and that's what might as well be what reality is if the people that are in power are saying it and the people below them start to believe it, even though it is not fact. So there's that one. And it's getting really hot in here, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get through all these today. I am going to try to do one on Instagram maybe tonight at some point. There, that should be good. We'll start it there.
The armed gunman could have been a lot worse. But what I really wanted to ask you about, and I'm being completely dead serious when I say this, is this a good thing? Because before we went on air, I think you had said he fired 8 shots but only hit him twice.
I got to find that. I'm not sure. But that's not, like, in itself, that's not a negative thing. Does anybody know what the 4 rules of weapon safety is? And can anybody in this room who are now residents of Texas, and 2 who have been residents of Texas for quite a while?
Dive, duck, dodge.
No, that's 5 rules of dodgeball.
Sure.
All right, so one of the reasons why I pulled this clip up, and it is the last clip, it's just a long clip, is first off, they begin this conversation by asking the 4 rules of gun safety. And I think that if you get an opportunity to say them out loud to people, especially if they don't know what they are, you absolutely should. Because if more of the people that make our laws and that are in control of legislation understood the 5 or the 4 gun safety rules they would realize that their argument against civilians owning firearms, if they're legally allowed to own them, in most cases where those firearms are used, all 4 of these are being practiced. And if you use these 4 rules, no one should die except for the person you intend on dying.
Okay. So dodgeball's different? All right.
Finger off the trigger, point the barrel downrange, check your surroundings.
Always keep the weapon pointed in a safe direction. So don't be specific about the range necessarily. Keep your finger out of the trigger well until it's time to squeeze it. Never point your weapon at anything that you don't intend to kill, and then treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Not necessarily in that order. Now, the 5th rule of weapon safety is to know your target and what's beyond it, or your backdrop, as we would call it. So I did see one lefty media outlet say, like, they without commenting on it, noted how many times he shot or something like that. Clearly trying to make the point, like, this is a wild fucking shoot. No, maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. You don't know, right?
Right.
Okay, show me the crime scene photos and I'll tell you if that's the case or not. Show me video and I'll tell you. But here, what we do know is that he didn't hurt anybody except for the fucking asshole that was shooting people, and he killed that guy. That is a win.
Right.
Also, was he even trying to kill him? I mean, I'm sure he was shooting at him, but 8 shots and hitting him twice, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, but especially if the range was clear or whatever, like maybe he's just trying to pin him down, scare him off, right?
Well, what I did hear is that, one, that would be stupid.
That would be?
Yes.
Okay.
But what I did hear is that he was shooting from something like 40 or 50 meters away, which with a handgun is a pretty good fucking shot if you hit him at all.
Yeah.
Especially in the heat of the moment right there.
All right. So obviously we've all heard about it. If you haven't, there was a gunman in a Indiana mall that shot and killed 2 people, and he was gunned down by a civilian with a firearm. There's a lot of really big pieces of information that you need to know when you talk about this. 1, it was a gun-free zone. The criminal that came in to kill innocent people ignored that sign. Now, there are people, obviously mostly Democrats, arguing that the person who had the gun to save lives ignored that law as well. Or not the law, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The sign as well. Yeah, that's because gun-free zones only protect the people who are trying to kill innocent people. Now, the people who are willing to defend innocent lives ignore those fucking gun-free zone signs. So that's a big piece of the puzzle here. 2, and Dan Holloway said it. First off, the civilian that killed the active shooter was 22 years old. Legally in the United States, you can't own a handgun until you're 21, and they are trying to up that age. Do you think they would up it to 22? Fuck no. They're going to go a lot higher than that. So a 22-year-old showed that he was mentally capable enough, and quite frankly, one of the only people in the mall, well, he was the only one, but one of the only willing people in that mall to defend innocent life, and he was 22 years old, right? And now the part about him shooting 8 times, only hitting him twice. The part of the video we're not going to get to because I am literally about to pass out, it is so fucking hot in here, is before he fired 1 shot, he told everybody to get down. So, 1, that necessarily isn't a good thing for the civilian that was defending lives. Because as soon as he said, get down, the active shooter probably looked at him and started firing his weapon at him. So as far as tactics go, that wasn't the best case scenario or thing to do to protect the civilian defending lives' own life. But what it was bravery. He called attention to himself. A 22-year-old civilian with a firearm that ignored a gun-free zone sign called attention to his self. 2, an active shooter that had clearly shown he was in the mindset to take innocent life. Now understand this. What that young man did in that mall in Indiana is more than 99.8% of the cops at Uvalde School did. Understand that. The police will not protect you. The people, the civilians with firearms willing to protect innocent life is the best chance you have to survive against evil in the United States of America. If you are too much of a pussy to carry a fucking gun and protect your friends and family, do not think you have the right to try to stop anyone else from doing that. So that's another point that I want to point out right here. And then the last thing, the 8-shot thing, he's talking about 40 to 50 yards here. Now, I don't even know a lot of people that sight in red dots on handguns at 50 yards. Normally they sight them in at 25. I believe that's like a common distance. So to take that shot, he obviously felt confident enough in the fact that he probably trained and prepared himself for that scenario. That is huge. We should not be talking down about this civilian. We should be pointing out that this civilian probably trained, was armed and capable, and was brave enough to call attention to himself. All things good civilians should do, all things at the very least, men should be doing in a polite society to protect innocent life. But instead, the Democrats are trying to attack the hero in this scenario. One of the last thing I want to touch on here today before I get off of here is this young man has obtained an attorney to keep his name out of the media and to draw attention to his family. So if you are somebody that is creating something involving this information, be willing that there's potentially some legal liability at the end of that. And I hope that he goes after every CNN reporter, every big propaganda media machine that comes out and tries to attack this man. And not Dan Holloway, but Ross Patterson, the other host, asked, why would you get an attorney? He didn't get it. He probably did get an attorney to protect him as far as like the legal process that he's going to have to go about because he fired his weapon to defend himself and other people and saved other people. There sometimes is legal fees that you have to pay for. So you have to understand that when you carry a firearm as well. Just because you were in the right or it was a good shoot doesn't mean you're not going to have legal fines. But he specifically hired a lawyer to keep his name and his family and personal life out of the media. And I knew exactly why he did that as soon as they brought it up. They did that because of Kyle Rittenhouse. They did that to all the people, the good civilian people that have stopped mass shooters. Their name gets dragged through the mud. The leftist media goes after them. They could move to a state where it's not gun friendly and they can be potentially targeted and harassed. It makes all the sense in the world why you would do this. Quite frankly, even I'm thinking about getting some type of insurance that will cover legal fees when it comes to a self-defense shooting for this reason alone. So that if, God forbid, I ever had to do that, my family wouldn't be attacked. My character wouldn't be under attack. And if it did, there would be legal consequences. So don't be surprised if you don't hear much about this story. I know we would all like to hear more stories like this in the media, and quite frankly, there should be. But the only ones that ever get brought to the light usually get brought to the light for a bad thing because the media is attacking them, because the state prosecutor wants to go after them anyways, even though it was a good shoot. We won't talk about it today, but there is a case where a man called police to his home to assassinate police. Said he was suicidal. The neighbor confirmed later on that he had planned out to get cops into his home and to kill the cops. This guy drew his weapon and was pointing it at a cop when a cop killed that guy. Well, because of the state he lived in and their prosecutor in that jurisdiction, that police officer is in prison. So if you don't think it can happen to you, you are sadly mistaken. Just because you and God knows you were in the right doesn't mean you're not going to end up behind bars. And I don't say that to try to get you not to carry. I say that because we need to help defend these people, because one day it might be us, and we're going to want all the defense and all the people in the United States on our side backing us if, God forbid, that time had to come. But with that, I got to go get some water or something. I'm about to fucking pass out. Stay safe. Stay prepared. I love you guys. God bless. America first. Peace, y'all.